Okay, I'd like to call to order the Westerly Public Schools School Building Subcommittee meeting for Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. The time is 6 o'clock. Members present are Chris Duhamel, Dr. Garceau, Audrey Fover, Mark McKinnon, Michael Ober, Steve Marone, and myself, Justin Hopkins. We also have with us as guests, part of our professional team, Deb Reading from Downs, Ashley Prester from DBVW, John Scheib from NCA, and Ray Smith from ONG. So we've got all bases covered tonight. First order of business is approval of meeting minutes. You should have all received the minutes from our last meeting. It's been a minute since we've met, so we should have received minutes from our October 8th meeting. And if there are no modifications to these minutes, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay. Next item on the agenda is public comment. We have no members of the public that are here, so we'll move on to approval of invoices. So as is customary, the first meeting of the month, we have a roster of, let's see, do we? Yes, we have a roster of invoices. And these have been reviewed by the professional team. So I'm going to read these invoices off. If there are any, I'll pause. I'm not going to ask for any questions, but I'll pause. And if anybody has any questions, please bring them up. I'm sure Deb can answer them. And if not, we'll entertain a motion to approve each invoice. So the first one is TSKP invoice number 230601-27 for professional services for State Street on October 31st, 2025 in the amount of $36,678.47.
So moved. Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Next, DBVW invoice number 2318-27 for professional services for Dunn's Corners and Springbrook through October 31st, 2025 in the amount of $23,321.47.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Next, ONG Industries application for payment number 14 for State Street Elementary School through October 31st, 2025 in the amount of $1,500,712.18, representing 58% of the total contract bill of the project.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Prime Consulting, for the record, Kristen Federico is in attendance. Just marking that down so we can make sure that he's not to call you. Where was I? Prime Consulting Testing and Inspection Services at State Street through October 31st, 2025 in the total amount of $6,564.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Colliers Project Leaders Commissioning Services at Dunn's Corners, Springbrook, and State Street Schools through October 31st, 2025 in the total amount of $12,370.80, inclusive of invoice number 1111425, Dunn's Corners, $4,356.16, invoice number 1111426, Springbrook in the amount of $4,531.95, and invoice number 1111427 for State Street School in the amount of $3,419.69.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay, next, Downs Construction invoices number 26 for OPM services through October 31st, 2025 in the total amount of $22,150, inclusive of Dunn's Corners, $5,900, Springbrook, $5,900, State Street, $10,350.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay, we can pay the bill. Anything else come in, Deb, that I didn't go
No,
through?
we are good, thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is owner's project manager / architect update.
Absolutely, thank you, Justin. I'll just note that it was included in the package that came out, our global budget, since we haven't had any approvals at our last meeting, it has not changed. And we are still at a overall contingency of $1,192,470. So with that,
Can I just ask a question about
Absolutely.
that real quick? Just so in the, as part of that total budget surplus, the playground number is represented in two different locations. One is under the encumbrage at State Street Elementary School. There's a line item that's pending CO for State Street Elementary School playground in the amount of $475,946. And then down at the bottom, there's a capital balance fund in 2025 State Street Elementary School playground funds. I just want to make sure that, because that's
absolutely, above is a debit, it's going to be a cost. And
Okay.
475 represents the cost, and then down below is the funding.
okay.
Coming over from the capital.
So in your total budget surplus / deficit number,
Mhm.
I just want to make sure that the playground that's not a $500,000 chunk that is going to be
No,
coming
no,
out.
right,
Okay,
right, that's all included in there.
Okay.
But thank you for asking.
are there any questions to Deb regarding the global budget summary?
Is there money left to be spent at Dunn's Corner or Springbrook?
Partially, I'll touch upon that. We still do have outstanding CCDs and change proposals that, they're going to be upcoming, but the CCDs are included in this number. To date, the ones, the unknowns, at worst case. There might be a few change proposals that have not been agreed to already, which aren't in there. But, hopefully no other money is being spent.
So for just, I guess it's the same question, where you have the direct costs and you've shown those encumbrances under the direct cost subtotal, those are already, so what's being represented is that there's about $335,000 in pending change orders for Dunn's Corner that are representative of CCDs that this body has authorized. Those are included in the direct cost subtotal. In other words, you factored that into the line item.
Well, they're a line item up under project cost.
Yes,
The CCDs are right there. We've issued $40,930 for State Street. We're talking about another one tonight, and 334, 708.
so those are going in, those are, when we take action on those are not, because you've already included them in the direct cost subtotal. You've already accounted for
They'll
some
move out of
budgeting,
CCD and they'll go into the.
but they won't, they're
Okay.
already taken out of project contingency from a bookkeeping standpoint.
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
All those debits, all those costs come out of the funding, yes.
So in terms of what we, like, first of all, from way of assuming it, I'm not questioning that, but from if you actually looked at our books right now, where we're reporting a total budget surplus of $1.2 million, that is assuming that we are going to move forward with a $500,000 playground, some pending $41,000 in change orders at State Street, and pending CCDs of $335,000.
Well put,
Okay.
exactly,
All right.
exactly. That's-
So with that 1.1, can I ask what percentage of the work is done at state? What are you guessing?
58%.
58?
Yeah.
So we can anticipate further change orders.
We can. I think we're getting over the hump on, unforeseens or some of the structural, issues that come up. We're going to talk about them tonight, some duct work. issues, but I think after that, we're gonna be back into the site once the school comes down, and there's always the unforeseen contagions. But besides that, I think we see a lot of, we're gonna be finishing the building. So
Good.
I think most of the big unforeseens are out the way.
But we have worst case allowances assumed for
Absolutely.
the gremlins that may be in State Street.
I don't,
So the optimistic view is we're not going to encumber the allowances that are already built into the abatement and demolition costs.
Mhm.
The reality is we can't count those chickens before we actually start tearing down.
You can count the chickens before they're gonna be.
and raise some chickens out there. Okay, with that said, we've got two architects over here jumping at the bit there. Present tonight, and then you guys going to wrestle for it, rock, paper, scissors?
You're sure?
Good.
Yeah.
All right. This is short. He gave me the lesson.
Thank you. All right, so the update to the State Street School, moving along great, really. You see some pictures here that start to reflect the fact that it's moving quickly and looking really excellent. All right, so just an overview. Again, we're current progress November 12th. We're on schedule. Again, that schedule has us to complete phase 1 in late April 2026, and then phase 2 again beginning after everything is moved into the new building, starting July through November, and at the second half of 2026. So again, I always try to use this to orient ourselves to the site. Some of the things you're going to see in overall progress are going to be the interiors updated, the classroom, to see some of the paint coming into play. But on the exterior of the building, really you're seeing the siding coming along. These pictures are a week old already, so I imagine there's more siding work done. But as the siding really moves along, building really takes shape and form. The windows and storefront are all going in. The fixed windows where you saw the plywood, those are all now, I believe, on site, and getting the fixed windows are starting. The operable windows.
Consider and plywood are actually installed now.
All right, excellent. Check. So moving along very nicely on the exterior of the building. Even some of the vertical siding, mostly into the courtyard areas, we have that vertical siding. So that's moving along as well. Those are kind of primed, pre-finished looks. Don't think these are finished materials yet. They do get this gets stained in the field, and then the other one gets painted in the field. So those will be coming along as well. In the inside of the building, second floor is really looking almost quite remarkable, because they've got the accent paint. They got paint and accent paint on the walls and the ceiling grid in. So a lot of those major overhead mechanicals and sprinkler piping and electrical conduit and whatnot are all installed. You get a sense that we have that paperless sheetrock up at the right underneath the roof joists, and then you have between that and this suspended ceiling is all of the normal ductwork and sprinkler piping and electrical conduit and so on that you would have there. In the main entry area, or beyond the main entry area, we've got the skylights, and all of that framing is completed. All the sheetrock is in, paint is on, so it's looking quite complete in some places, especially on the upper level of the building. So to talk about a couple of the change orders that we want to go through this evening. First one references back to CCD number 2. So as Deb was saying, and Deb and Justin were talking about, when a CCD has a revised price that is then submitted, it would become shift over to the change order. So this is one in this case with CCD2, which was that supplemental ventilation to the above ceiling spaces under the gable roofs. That's where we had, I'll just quick refresher of what the substance of it is there's some supply air and return air in each of the three different under gable roof areas. It provides a modicum of CFM of conditioned air to be able to circulate through those spaces and give a little extra temperature and humidity control to those spaces. So with that, the revised, one of the things that was in play was the type of grill or diffuser that was going to be on there, because this is completely out of reach and out of range. And part of the attic space, we found that it could save some money to just go to a wire mesh on the end of the ductwork. So that brought the cost down from the CCD down about $2,700. So PCO 21 revised is now $21,328.62. That's the amount that we're proposing for PCO 23. Sorry, it's PCO 23. So that one would be, that amount would be what would become part of what we're proposing for change order 6. So do we want to go PCO by PCO, or do we want to vote when I have a slide that outlines the draft of change order 6. So I guess, do we want to act on each one?
Why don't you just go through them?
Okay.
If we have any questions.
Okay. So next is closely associated with that was the idea that we would provide these access panels to each of those three areas. So again, the B1, the B2, and the A areas, each one would have its own access panel so that you could put a ladder up in the room, remove ceiling tiles and possibly some grid, and go up and access that area. So in each of those three areas, we selected in B2 and A, they're huddle rooms. So that way it's not like right out in the middle of a corridor, nor is it in a classroom. It's a room that somebody could easily come, close it off and say, okay, we need to get up into the attic here. Put a ladder in there, and it can be a controlled, contained space. And that's what we have for the B2 area and the A area. In B1, we did just a wall access panel. There's a ladder that comes up from the second floor into a mechanical mezzanine that is over the gym. That has some equipment in it, but the intent here is a wall panel that takes you out into those above. You can get in, take a look. Couple of things about the details on these. These were all reviewed and everything with Chief Mackey. But we would have a sign on each one saying that, storage of any kind is prohibited beyond this point. This is only for access and observation when immediately necessary. We do have that heat trace element up there. The idea was to be able to access and take a look if they ever needed to see in there. And again, there's no operable mechanical parts up here. There are some valves, or there are some things over the B2 area near some of the ductwork that allows. We located that one closer to some of the major ductwork so that you can get a good look at it. So that's that one. And then PCO 25, which is, this is something that, to give you a sense a little bit of what was going on there. This was more or less coordination as we got into the project here between ourselves and O&G and subcontractors. This is a little akin to the fact that the building system, the building exterior, as you know, is the different siding components. So we want to get those up off grade as much as possible. So unlike a brick building or stone building or something that has more of a base like that, we wanted to keep this building up above grade. What that meant was where we have column footings, where we have the columns in on the exterior wall, there was going to be exposed base plate. And again, that column is only then protected by an inch or two of concrete. So in a normal building, you probably have your brick shelf down around here and you just bring the brick down and you have more foundation wall, thicker foundation walls just to support brick. So in this case, what was realized was that, and it's only like the eastern half of the building, from the cafeteria, around the kitchen, around back by the gym, and then before you get to this staircase over here. Those are where we have 13 different conditions where column base plates would be exposed. We reviewed that with the structural engineer, talked about it with O&G, and came up with a system where we're just going to have to provide reinforced concrete, an extension of the foundation wall effectively. We're going to reinforce it in three dimensions, basically. So it's going to be held vertically in place by all the reinforcing. It's going to be obviously fastened to the wall, and it's going to be anywhere from 3 feet to 4 feet long to make sure it's covering the full extent of the base plate. So multiply that times 13, though. That's the problem. Is it's got reinforcing steel, it's got concrete, it's got dry pack grout in here. So fairly labor intensive. Got to bring concrete around to 13 different locations. So that pricing came in $36,850. So that's these have all been reviewed for O&G provided all the backup and breakdown of labor and materials. All of it's been reviewed and is in accordance with expected material rates and so on. So taking a look at proposed change order 6, grand total $60,166.62. Again, this is where CCD 2 converts to a change order at the sum of $21,328, $1,988 for the access panels, and then the $36,850. Also started putting some of the math on here so you can see it. Previously encumbered change orders, $223,790.22. Adding the $60,000, this gives you a sense of where after change, when and if change order 6 is approved, that brings us up to $283,956.84. And then we start talking about additional CCDs or future change orders and things like the playground and whatnot. So are there any questions then on proposed change orders? I guess.
Any questions from the building committee?
Just on the plate, hiding the plate, embedding it into new concrete. There's no other way to cover that.
Right. I know we did look at a number of ways. Every other way could, if we tried to just bring the wood framing down or just cover it with more, if we tried to bring the whole wall down, well, you start to get into the problem we were trying to avoid in the first place by bringing it all up. If we tried to cover it with a concrete block or a brick or something like that, we were thinking that you're still going to need some section of foundation wall to support it on, or like a stainless steel angle, something like that. Thought of like just doing a heavy parge coat of the concrete, just spraying something on there, but it's not going to last. Everything else is not going to last. We wanted to make sure that whatever we're proposing as a solution for this matches the longevity of the entire building. So this was the most durable solution that we could come up with.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Any other questions? I just so for the explanation for the rest of the group, the concrete that you're putting on is going to be proud of the finish, or is it?
No, it will. This is only 3 inches thick, and so far this wall's out about 4.5 inches. So it's going to be covered by the wall. In fact, there's a piece of flashing. This is an older picture. but there's a piece of flashing that covers that. So the flashing will actually have a drip edge that will be out in front of the concrete. So that's kind of why the detail has, like, we pour concrete, but then we dry pack we dry pack some grout in here as well. So that way, and then you can see the building. It's hard to see, of course, but the, inch or inch and a half that the building still sticks out over it. So you're not going to have rain coming down and resting on top of that concrete.
And the structural engineers, fine with inch and a half of cover, over the rebar with the concrete.
Yeah, they have inch and a half cover on the rebar. That's, yeah, these details are by E2, the structural engineer.
Okay, any other questions? So you're looking for a formal approval of change order number 6 in the amount of $60,166.62.
Correct.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
So now CCD 3. RFI was brought up, brought to the attention of the design team, where I'll try to explain this. And this is the section of the building, the B2 area of the building. I know that this is a diagram. I'll try to give you a sense of what this is showing. This is a diagram if we were to, like, slice the gabled roof off and look down on the roof trusses and the ductwork. The major rooftop equipment is located behind the end of this gable wall here at the east end. Oh, geez, I'm sorry. At the east end of the gable end of the B2 section of the building. So let me go back to the plan here and we're talking right around here, this whole area. More or less, you have the cafeteria here, the kindergarten classrooms there. So, and then there's this stair 3, that's located there, and that comes into play when we start looking at the different solutions for this. So what you see in this little white box here is the end of the stair, and then the main duct in question is a supply and return that comes from a unit on the roof here, and now ultimately travels all the way over to the A section of the building. So it comes through here and then goes across kind of the near where the main mural and open stair and all that's going to be, and then eventually makes it over into the A section of the building. So with that said, these ducts were brought out and terminated just shy of a wall in this location here. The wall is a shear wall. There's a little piece you can start to see the cross bracing on the wall there. So the problem is we can't just run these 2 giant ducts through the shear wall. They are shown that way. It's kind of a coordination thing here. We'd love to try to figure this. We'd love to figure this out a lot sooner, but at this point, we're looking for a way to accomplish doing this. Our first thought was to try to relocate the shear wall to a different location, and which would have required some structural steel, some revision to the delegated design framing of the light gauge steel above the ceiling. It would have involved applying plywood to both sides. It would have involved removing sections of finished work in order to get the cross bracing steel in there. So that was considered pretty expensive. A lot of trades, a lot of different movement. So what we started working on was a purely ductwork solution. So the ductwork, just to describe it to you as briefly as I can, this shows the ductwork at below the layer of gypsum that's still above ceiling. It's all concealed ductwork from the finished ceiling, but it's below that layer of sheetrock, below the roof trusses. This is the supply would be coming down in 2 locations rather than 1. and then combining back into the one larger ductwork that crosses that area. The return would be below the shear wall. So the return would still go through that shear wall between the cross bracing, and we'd have to frame an opening to make all that work. There would be one VAV unit that gets relocated, but overall, it just modifies the ductwork. What happens to that supply is that it goes through 2 feet on center roof trusses, and then it combines back into one duct, sweeps around, comes above where the shear wall was, in a separate opening, and then returns and well, again, it's supply, so the air is actually traveling this way.
So just a little detail, the shear wall actually extends all the way to the roof.
Right.
So both of those ducts still pass through the shear wall,
Right, but at least not side by side and not crossing.
not side by side.
Yeah.
John and I and my team and his team are still working on this.
Yeah. So that's why it's a CCD. We're trying to come up with the most cost-effective, efficient solution. When we're looking at moving the air, relocating ductwork and so on, we still have to be cognizant of the amount of bends and everything. So this supply area is gonna move a lot, but we're trying to limit that so that it doesn't just get too crazy with how much it has to turn left, right, and up and down. We're looking at putting the CCD out at $50,000, knowing that we're still trying to resolve this. We also know that there's no meeting again for a month. So we want to just put this forward so that we can resolve it as a team. That's you.
So a portion of this, so where do we get the $50,000?
It generally when we were looking at the alternative scheme of doing this, we could have been into 6 figures with this amount of rework, delays, etc. If we're gonna figure out a way that we can just adjust the ductwork, like I said, this ductwork, this is where it is right now from that picture that you saw. The ductwork just ends in this area. So any of these modifications, I don't recall how much is already coming back this way, Ray, maybe most of it.
That's all just sitting in the courtyard.
Okay, it hasn't been put up into place yet, but it's all there on site. Yeah, all the ductwork.
That transversal duct's not going to move.
Yeah, it's very tight through here. Everything that we've got coming through that side of the building is pretty tight. So it's all kind of in here, how it gets revised. That's just based on having to come up with a ductwork solution that, and possibly some modifications to the framing, for that at smaller openings rather than trying to use just one wide opening or relocate the shear wall entirely.
All right, so we suggested this route for keeping the work moving forward. Because if we have to wait for the next meeting, we've lost another month. So right now, this amount is what we're expecting. It should be more, is adequate. What we're expecting for the cost to be for the next month. And hopefully it's not going to be much more than that, we hope. But since we don't have a definite solution at this time, we just want to give Ray enough money to keep moving forward and not have to wait until December.
Once we've all agreed on a solution.
Once we all agreed on a solution, thank you, sir.
So contingency, I guess, is the answer.
It's like almost setting up a little allowance perfectly. Yeah, perfect. That's right.
But a CCD does authorize the contractor to proceed with some level of work. So that way, once, as Ray says, once we've got the solution in place, then they can proceed immediately on rectifying that.
So as soon as we have that solution, Ray will move forward with getting it priced. And the plan is, hopefully we'll have that solution soon, is when we come to you in December, we'll have that PCO to review then then the CCD will go away.
It will not only be priced, it will be in action and do.
Yeah, yeah, that's the important part. To meet schedule, we need to authorize some action as well, with this, via this tool.
So if you can split a riser in two, a supply riser, in other words, you're coming in high, splitting your duct
coming in.
into two smaller openings to go down,
Yep.
and then reconnecting that into a larger, back to one duct.
Mhm.
Why can't you do that through the shear wall?
The stud spacing is different.
Yeah, I think we have 16-inch studs in the shear wall, right?
The trusses are 20.
So I can't, sorry to get a little technical.
Yeah.
I can't, is the shear wall light gauge metal frame shear wall, or is it a structural shear wall, meaning cross brace?
It's light gauge metal.
So I can't make like a moment frame within that.
We
Within
thought of
that
that too. Yes, we thought of doing moment frames as well and eliminating a cross brace. The moment frame on both of these columns needs to transfer all the way down to the footing. And the engineers realized that footing is not sufficient to handle the moment frame, the transfer of load.
And again, this shear wall is not actually directly underneath the truss, it's actually between two trusses and does go all the way to the roof.
Yeah, that's hard to see from this side, but you're right. When the wall goes through and then the trusses are on both sides of it. So there's like stud, all three, not necessarily all in the same place above. They all stagger. So cutting, we want to minimize the cut that we have to do up there. We'll have to cut for almost no matter what, but
You're spacing out the cuts through the shear walls.
well, we're gonna go above and below. We're gonna go through this section of shear wall with the larger return duct. Because we can fit it between, I forget whether it's, we can just cut two studs to do it. I think that's what it is. Cut two studs to do it, box this out. It doesn't change the strapping on there. That is the cross bracing element of the shear wall. So there's minimal impact on the wall below. It's just, I think, getting the supply duct through the upper part that we need to review a little bit in more detail with LG here.
I'm sorry to keep asking these questions. And
Yeah, no, please.
It's a more costly option to basically make this like a fire treated plywood on both sides of the wall. I mean, that.
We already have, oh, you're saying to replace all the cross bracing with fire treated plywood?
It's just strapping, right?
Yeah, but it does serve the sheer purpose. Yeah.
So does basically a laminated plywood on the.
Yeah, we were talking about that for when we did this section. If we were looking at changing the wall, we would have done mostly plywood here. There would be some revisions to the stud wall.
The other solution was to go into the stairwell and rework that wall.
For shear, not for ductwork. For shear, we don't want to run ductwork through the stair. We can't run the ductwork.
And then that would basically free up that wall and blow as big a hole as we want through it.
Yeah. Also, I don't want to, if we change the shear wall in terms of whether it's strapping or plywood, one of the things that we're also trying to, both ONG and the design team are being cognizant of, is that was all delegated design. All the light gauge metal framing was all delegated design. To have them go back and do some revisions, I mean, I can, as we're doing, we're kind of beating up E2 and CES to come up with a solution here. But if we got to go beat up the subcontractor, that could, we could be talking a different range of time here.
Okay, well, the work needs to be done. I mean, this is the problem with uncoordinated stuff in a set is that our options are limited and they're more costly. So,
Exactly. Yeah, that's correct.
I don't see any other.
Could be more than 50,000.
I mean, it could be, any CCD could be higher or lower than we expect. We try to be cognizant of it, and I think we would have been higher if we were going in the direction of introducing, like I said, removing sheathing, removing finished work, putting in new structural steel cross bracing for one part, and then having the subcontractor go back and re-engineer his shear wall with plywood and strapping and new metal studs above. So we're trying to keep this mostly a ductwork solution and trying to keep costs down on it.
Okay, so you need a motion.
Motion to approve the change to
G3.
second.
All those in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you. That's all for State Street.
So where are we with, have we gone through Playscape review? And
We did at the last meeting. Yeah, I don't think you were at the last meeting, or was it 2 meetings ago?
No, it was the last meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It was the last meeting and, no, you haven't issued the PR yet.
Right. Yeah, no, we know what Audrey had provided confirmation that this is what we wanted to do last summer. And we reviewed that with the committee at the last meeting, and that we're working on that, getting it out as a proposal request to ONG through their contract. Be done in phase 2.
Can we put a date on that? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but you think by next
I
meeting?
would say, yeah, we would plan on next meeting coming, to you. Well, we have to get it to ONG in a timely manner, but
Just that we're getting.
the most likely subcontractors already aware this is happening because they kind of did the design, so.
and FF&E were.
Definitely. So that was another action item here. Thank you. So State Street, I'm just go right into it. We're looking for you, and we'll let you back up in a second. We will have plans in hand and cut sheets and furniture list of quantities from TSKP and NCA this Friday. I've already spoke with Eileen. We have a big going out for public bid. She's working on the front and back end, and I'll be putting all the guts together and including the bid form. We are anticipating going out to bid because of holiday on December 3rd and having the bids due right after January 1st. I think we came up with the weekend there of January 6th. That'll give us time to tabulate, be back in front of this committee by our first meeting in January so that we can make a decision. The current allowance is still 800,000. I don't believe you have your estimate back in yet. Is that true?
I don't believe so.
Okay,
We are gonna provide you with an estimate.
right. But over the summer, we just went out for feelers with the WB Mason design, which isn't too far off. I mean, we know we made some changes and they gave us a price closer to 900,000, but said that isn't their bid number. Of course, they want to show their hand. So we are definitely on the street where the ballpark is located. That's a good thing. So that's our timeline so that we can get furniture in the building, hopefully in April. So that come May, because it's going to take them 3 to 4 weeks. Hopefully by May, you can start having your teachers move over into the building, Audrey, in a nice, slow, planned process instead of a mad rush at the end of June trying to get out of the building before the wrecking ball hits. So that's where we're at right now. They're just looking for the SPC to approve that we can go out for the RFP.
Yes, I mean, I guess the point here is any week that we can save after students get, every week sooner that we can start
They start work,
abating the
exactly.
building is a week earlier in the fall that we have a full and active site.
And having just gone through this in Newport, it is crazy to try to get out of a building that fast. And you know, if you're gonna move They moved over the summer, so of course they didn't need what they were teaching, but if you're still in process, you can't expect people to move over and not have somewhere to put things. They need a desk, they need cabinets, they need shelving. So this way, everything will be there. They can just move over what they're not using at the time and then plan the rest for the last days.
Is there a plan in the district to allow the teachers that time?
Yes, right now we, working with Mark, the teachers are aware at a meeting we had Thursday that they're going to pack up their beginning curriculum materials from the first half of the year in January. Those are going to go to an empty classroom within the building, ready to move, at least when you're ready to receive them at the new build. And then we'll give them the time again around the end of March to pack up the third quarter of instructional materials. And then, of course, that last bit will go over, and that might be a little messy, but we've got,
She's like,
got a
"Big
plan.
deal." She's got this all figured out. The first, second, third way, it just,
And
yeah.
maybe they give you another building.
Yeah, exactly. So right now it all looks good, but we do have to get that bit out there. So that's the plan. And you have any other update? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No, absolutely not. No,
Yeah.
we probably have more in place.
So I know they've been working diligently on it. So
Yeah.
get everything done on Friday. Eileen is on board. We can't go out to the MPA as we did with Dunn's in Springbrook because the threshold is $150,000. Or we would just go out through that method, but
Is that a Westerly threshold? or is
no,
that
it's actually the MPA guideline for, I forgot they changed the number on that. It's no longer 507, but,
494.
yeah. Of course you would remember it.
I was talking about it on another project.
Yeah, they changed the number. So, yeah, unfortunately, we can't just go out that way, but,
And technology, sorry.
technology. Put you on the spot.
Yes, I think we have a good hold on what we need. We've got information on the PA system. It all seems on the up and up. It's what we were looking for.
Okay, great.
A lot of information we have to dig through, but I think we're on the same page.
Okay,
I just need Mike to formally say as such.
all right.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Things like smart boards, network.
Smart
Cute.
boards, right, Mike's gonna put a whole list together for us for that. From preliminary conversations, it sounds like he wants to bring over the server and that type of
Yes.
equipment. So we're not looking to get all that new equipment, but he'll have to tell us about racks if he's gonna need any. And he'll look at all the smart boards and all that, but,
So I guess my question. The advice is, if we have like things like smart boards in our budget, in a technology budget, I think, and we're going to get reimbursed on those, we should probably buy new smart boards for State Street, take what's best of the rest at the existing State Street to supplement.
We don't.
else. You don't have it. How did I should have known that.
Well, you
I
have one
was up.
in the cloud, right?
Yeah, we have two,
Oh,
two
Yeah.
on wheels.
On
These
wheels.
are Walmart,
Oh,
right.
they're different.
Yeah.
But Mike is aware that we can order now and we can hold the merchandise at State Street because he was worried a little bit about lead time. So we kept room to store it. So his plan was to order.
right.
I was only a State Street parent for 9 years and I can't even vote.
I do, and we're talking, because we need to start having meetings with Mike. I just want to make sure we go through the right process of procurement so that we can make sure it goes through the project funds.
Right.
Because I don't want him to have to be paying that out of this technology fund. So we have money, so we'll make sure we're using it.
Okay.
And that said, we actually have some money still, in Springbrook to spend on technology.
Yeah, there's some missing, not missing, it's just they haven't been installed yet, monitors and a few other things that they need to put in.
Any other questions for State Street? Thank you. Thanks, John. Thanks, Ray.
We're assuming, moving on now, right?
That's all yours.
Alright. So I'm gonna try to be a little quick on this, but anybody that wants the PDF on this afterwards, we can talk about it, or I can send it out. This is the wrong file. This is the,
August 13th.
that's the September file. You have one on the left?
Ashley just had a mini coronary,
Yeah, let's try this one. I have two, so.
2 coronary.
Two corners, yeah. Sorry.
Is that?
We'll play the intermission music. 8:13. What is going on?
No, that one says 11/12 on it. That's the right one.
Yeah.
Open that one.
Oh, boy. Can I try this? That's. Don't tell me both of our,
You didn't email it to anyone, did you?
no. It's not. That's why I bring two, though. Might be doing this, improv. There we go. It still says August.
No, it's the right file.
It's not the right file, so I'm gonna do it improv. Okay. You can just close that. All right, so what we wanted to talk about was, that, we finally got the sign off from, Dunn's Corner Fire Department on the BDA system. And we were able to issue substantial completion for the contract, with the date of October 31st.
Can I clarify on that?
Yes,
When you say we, you mean you as the architect?
you as the architect, me as the architect. I finally saw the copy of it from Fire Marshal Bubola.
Thank you.
Yes, sorry about that.
Everybody, I know this is a little complicated. so.
Yes. So we had all of our certifications. These were the certifications we were looking at the end of August. There was a couple things on the BDA, which was the radio system that delayed the fire department from signing off on the entire,
Right?
on the fire alarm and the BDA. There was no safety issues from the school perspective.
EDA for everyone, bi-directional amplifier, radio frequencies inside the building, so
Sorry.
bring it.
Yeah.
When was it retested?
It had to have been the week of Halloween, so like the 27th through the 31st, somewhere around there. He said he witnessed the test and everything had passed. I think they changed the location of the donor tower. Rather than going to one direction, they went to another one that had a stronger transmitter. Whatever they did, it wound up working, so.
I haven't been able to confirm if police signal is better.
Okay. Okay. Well, the good thing is that, with the substantial completion form, we issued the monetized punch list, which, was dated on September 18th, which was, if you remember, September 19th was the deadline to fix all the major things from August that we were talking to, Tower. In that, we had a monetized punch list of about 1.2 million, which included items such as all the closeout documents, which is what we're going to talk to you about a little bit tonight. Fortunately, I don't have slides, sorry. But essentially, now what we're looking for, I mean, basically the substantial completion from the architect and engineering perspective, they met the requirements of the contract. Now it's in the hands of the town and the contractor to then evaluate if they want to sign it. So I don't know if at this point we want to talk about anything.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
You want me to run through some concerns here?
Yeah.
Okay, and yeah, absolutely. I know, I had an opportunity to talk to with Dr. Garso and with Justin and with Sean Lacey about this. But what signing the substantial completion form, which gets signed by Ashley, and he's absolutely right, as the architect, he had no other reason to hold back on it. That doesn't mean that we have to sign it at this point if we have concerns. So what executing that document does, which would be Dr. Garzo's signature, then it would go to Tower and they would sign it, is giving them the ability to request their surety company to release their payment and performance bond. That right there is a big concern for me, because they have not been able to provide certified payroll documents and lien waivers since July. So they have not been paid since July, and therefore have not paid any other contractors since July. And they are still working on punch list. I did get some documents yesterday for September and October, but I still am missing at least 2/3 for August. So I mean, we're not bouncing all around. As it is right now, they had to go back to their July requisition, pull contractors off who were missing this paperwork so we could finally pay them after 2.5 months. So right now, we're waiting for them to get August straightened out so we can pay August, then to September and to October. So the fact that all these contractors haven't been paid, if their bond is released, they will go directly to you. So that is a big concern. So maybe one here who's trying to protect you with every fiber of me. It's like, okay, so that's one big reason. The other is that there's some very substantial items that have not been completed yet. And we've been talking with them about this since spring, and
I can actually go into that a little bit.
yeah,
if you want.
in the letter. But
In the contract documents that they signed, they bid plans and specs. 60 days before substantial completion, so start of July, we should have started having meetings on completion, starting operations and maintenance manuals, scheduling training videos and training times, starting to get attic stock in order, start doing the as-built, record specifications. I'm missing something.
any chips.
Any chips, which is the ride reimbursement requirement that we have to meet any chips with all that paperwork. That did not occur. They basically got to substantial completion. Then they supposedly started working on it. To date, we have not received any official submittals on any of it.
Right.
There's some semblance of that on Procore, but it is not assembled.
Right.
So it's not an official submittal at this point. Each of those items for each building has a monetary value on the monetized punch list. So that's why I said, even though that was a requirement of substantial completion, as long as I provide a monetary value to the client, you guys, then you have a recourse, you have a recoverable amount. And that is in addition to all the punch lists that they've been doing since August.
Another concern is their staffing, which we know has been a problem since day one. They have, since August, lost their senior project manager. He's no longer with them. Their superintendent, who was at Dove's Corner, who did a very good job. He has since moved on. I'm actually working with him on a project in Providence. And they really don't have anyone who's been with the project from the beginning.
Josh is kind
manager.
of trying to act
Yeah.
on the whole company's
Yeah.
behalf, but he's
Usually-
also.
Yeah, usually a
somehow-
project manager sits down and does close out, and they know that project from beginning to end. They've been aware of all these requirements, and they're able to sit down and put this together. And Josh has actually moved in.
He's
to another project.
moving on as
So
well, yeah.
there's no one being staffed over there, so it's another big concern about, and we've been just pushing and pushing. We finally got them to hold their project closeout conference 2 weeks ago. And that was probably a meeting we should have had
June
June
or July.
4 or 5 months ago,
Yeah.
because it was really an informational session for them on what they needed to do. And they already should be almost there, if not there. So they are supposedly working on things. We haven't seen much, but I don't see that they are substantially complete and in a position that would, make you feel easy signing off on that form. I think that right now it's leaving yourselves open to liability. I mean, any chips, if we don't get that information, is gonna be an issue with trying to get reimbursed by RIDE. So it's a costly problem right there.
What is okay, so what is the risk? Like all the elements of risk that you've just identified to me sound like we have legal recourse if we don't get satisfactory results. We've had a building that has passed inspection and the owner has had beneficial use since the start of the school year. The substantial completion certificate basically is the establishment of a warranty period, among other things, like you just mentioned.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Withholding a certificate of substantial completion has risks on the other side for the owner as well. If we've been occupying a building now for 2 months, 2+ months, and are not going to sign a certificate that says that the architect has signed off on, the building officials have signed off on, and we've been using the building. So if we had serious concerns about substantial completion to the point where we were putting students in the building, I think there's a risk to the owner not signing this.
We did have a
Yeah.
temporary C of O, which is how the students were allowed in the
Right.
building.
Has it turned into a final seal?
I asked that question to Dave Murphy either today or yesterday. I did not get a response yet.
Mhm.
I assumed he was out on sites. I'm just asking him if he's anything else he needs from us to get that. It is actually the contractor's responsibility to chase that, but at this point, we just
They
want
don't
to,
have-
So you mentioned that the punch list has about $1.2 million there on.
so that includes all the O and Ms.
So the way that this works is, you issue a certificate, what's called a certificate of substantial completion, which is a contractual item that basically initiates a warranty period. There's language in it that says that everything that's on the punch list, the warranty commences for the entire project exclusive of the punch list. The warranty period on punch list items commences on the date of final acceptance, which is whatever arbitrary date or final payment. So my question to you is, there's $1.2 million on the punch list. How much is outstanding in the requisition?
As of the end of August, which is the last requisition that this SBC had certified, it was 1.8. We had seen a pencil rec for September, never seen a final rec. We have not seen October. And we're now middle of November.
And have we released retainage or drawn down retainage?
No, that's another, I mean, with the issuance of the monetized punch list and substantial completion by contract, the remaining value should be what that monetized value is.
Right.
We've
So,
not received any requests either to.
so there's $1.8 million left to pay the contractor. That includes retainage?
That includes the retainage right now, yes. So
Right.
when if you sign a substantial completion, it would at least be a $500,000 to $600,000
Okay.
check to them if they did nothing else.
So the question is there enough money withheld in the punch list to cover us in the event that, I mean, I think there's a host of legal options that the owner has if a contractor walks.
Correct.
And if reimbursement is jeopardized based due to the negligence of the contractor doing the work, I think that there's legal recourse on behalf of the owner.
There should be, you're right, there should.
Well, I'm not a lawyer, you're not a lawyer,
No,
but
there should
it's-
be.
no,
We're not withholding 35% of the money right now.
Right.
We're holding like
You're
9
right
to
about that.
10%.
I guess my biggest concern is the bond right now, considering I've gotten a request, honestly, from over a dozen of their contractors for a copy of their bond. So. I mean, we certainly have the right to speak with their bond company and bring it to their attention so that they know ahead of time, but.
So we have a number of outstanding items that have to be addressed. Work that has to be performed, documents that have to be provided. If we were to sign off and release the money, what's to say, I mean, other than pursuing legal recourse, but what's to say that this work is actually gonna get done?
That's
What
why
are
you
the
hold
leverage
enough,
we have?
that's why you hold enough money. I mean, my concern is that I'm trying to keep us out of a legal avenue here.
As are we, yeah.
And my suspicion is that if we've been using a building going on 3 months now and are not issuing a substantial completion
Mhm,
certificate, then we're already kind of treading in that water.
mhm.
I know I mean, first of all, I wouldn't run a project the way that these guys are running it, neither would you.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I think we need to figure out a way to close this project out, wash our hands and be done with it.
Correct.
And a protracted closeout that legal threats and potential legal action is, I don't think, to the benefit of the contractor, it's not to the benefit of the owner. Nobody wins in that situation.
No,
So I guess my question is, like, we're all kind of dealing in theoretical kind of what ifs here. I mean, there has to be a commitment by the contractor to close this stuff out.
they have stated that they have performed, and completed 99% of the punch list. I could refute that in 2 seconds by going to the, ribbon cutting, and there's no landscaping at all at Springbrook. They just put grass. That will not, I mean, yes, it's just landscaping, but it's affecting a couple of, chips points. So we're starting to get down into the realm where I might start pushing back. Why did you let them get away with not putting in plants? So we have a value for those plants right now. But if they're just, I mean, they missed this entire planting season.
Are there repercussions for that? Because in the contract, it said they were gonna get that done in the amount of time they're supposed to get that done.
So the expectation is that they owe us this landscaping.
Yes. And we were told in the meeting 2.5 weeks ago, that that was gonna start Monday, and when we had the ribbon cutting, it wasn't there. So,
There's too many numerous things, but one that just recently, after a year of hounding them to go back to Springbrook on the backside, out where the ribbon cutting was held, on the existing downspouts, and connect the downspout to the existing roof drain. And they finally went and put something in. It was supposed to be a cast iron boot, and instead they got some corrugated plastic from Home Depot and duct taped it from one to the other. And that's their finished product.
How can it
It's
be
gonna
okay?
deteriorate.
well, we won't accept it. That's what they
Right.
did.
But these little things like that, like, I don't wanna create a nightmare for this man over here where but he already has been trying to go back and fix things that should have been part of this project.
Yeah, we haven't, and Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, there hasn't been, other than the keying, really any catastrophic problems with the punch list, but you are still having weekly issues. So I just saw a couple emails this week
Yeah.
on things.
When is the re-punch happening? When you walk back in there and do that?
I had this on a slide. I've asked my engineers, I am performing it on November 20th, which is the parent teacher day. So I'll come down here and do a full back punch. I will provide that to the owner. At that point, I think you need to have face-to-face negotiations if they were made with him to say, when are you gonna get stuff done? Because it'll show how much is done versus how much is left.
At what point do you bring in legal to consult in all this work to,
I think
you know,
that's
show strong arm?
right, because Justin's absolutely right, none of us are lawyers. I think
Yes.
before we do anything, that would probably not be a bad idea. Because honestly, I've been in a situation like this and signing off on substantial completion and holding that amount of money as a monetized punch list, which could be disputed, might not protect you from litigation. Someone could take the substantial completion and then file a claim for the rest of the money.
One red flag for me was that the value of the monetized punch list was not disputed. Normally you get contractors that say, that's not worth this, that's not worth that. No, there was nothing. And it just caught me off guard, but I didn't think anything of it in August, just wanted to get the kids in school.
Howard knows you're gonna re-punch on the 20th.
I have not told them that. If they're seeing this meeting, they'll know. I don't want them there arguing every item when I go through and mark
No,
it.
but it would certainly be in their interest to get that list as short as it can be on the 20th.
They are saying the list is short, but they have never provided me a copy of their interpretation of the list. And I don't think I'm seeing one. I've requested it. As soon as they sent the letter saying, please do your back punch, I said, you never sent the punch list to me. They have not provided it to me. We can, Deb and I jump up and down and wave our hands, but we're not the ones running tower construction.
But it's not just what's left on the punch list, it's what's also been done that may not be done correctly.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a value there that when I said the boots weren't put on there, they have a value of the cast iron, and therefore you should have enough to get the right thing. But it's an incredibly time-consuming process if you have to have other people do it.
Right. And expensive.
Yes.
And yeah, because you get a contractor just to come in and put, what are there, 5 cast iron boots in, the cost isn't going to be the same cost as if they had their contractor do it.
Yeah, and Mark's team doesn't have the available bandwidth to fix the punch list. There was over 1,500 items.
They shouldn't have to.
No,
And this is on behalf of the taxpayers and community of Westerly.
Right.
yes.
So Justin, did you say there's another marker beyond substantial completion?
Well,
Final closeout or final?
yeah, I mean, yes, the punch list typically gets attached to substantial or at least referenced. And I'm gonna go from memory here. There are sections, it's an AIA document.
Mhm.
Certificate of substantial completion commences on this date. Whatever date the actual certificate is, you backdate it to when the date of, typically it's beneficial use, which would be the first day of school. I think, because we were working right up to the end or whatever
Yes.
the week before was. Once you agree on that date, that's when the owner takes control of the subject property. But also it's the commencement of the warranty period for the entire project. But there's language in that section of the certificate that says the warranty period commences on this date, September 6th or whatever, with the exception of the following items. And you would typically just reference project punch list dated September 3rd. The commencement of the warranty period on those items that are in the punch list that commences on the date of final acceptance or final payment. So
In the substantial completion form, it also establishes the date of final completion, which was in conjunction with our contract documents, which was supposed to be December 19th of this year, knowing that RIDE was changing from chips to lead at some point in the future. And so the substantial completion form from the 31st had 49 days to complete. So the Friday before Christmas. And in both Deb and my professional opinion, they're nowhere close to hitting that.
Right. Substantial completion was August 22nd.
It was supposed to be the 22nd, yes. And I understand, Justin, the term beneficial use is a legal term, but they did not meet the terms of substantial completion in our professional judgment because we didn't have the letters from the fire marshal.
Right.
no, I get it.
Right. And its final completion is December 19th. So
That's
All right,
what was
well,
made.
it sounds like we need to schedule the meeting. I thought we were past the need to have the town manager, superintendent, myself in these meetings, but it sounds like we need to have this meeting just to make sure that we have a comfort level with closeout. I can reach out.
I want to have counsel with that meeting.
Okay.
Whether it's still not going or Bill Conley.
If in the meantime, if you'd like me to reach out, or anyone could, but if you'd like me to reach out to the bond company. And I was thinking of just getting their process, if they are asked to release the bond. Usually, I've gotten some type of letter as the owner, or if you would get one saying, have they completed the project? Have there been any issues? And you get to give your feedback on that. I just want to make sure that that's how they're going to be handling it on this project.
I don't want to see the subcontractors going unpaid. Vendors waiting on payment because the bond hasn't been released. That'll be damned if I'm gonna sign off on it if work isn't done.
Well, signing that form isn't going to release any money. I want to make that quite clear. That doesn't release any money. That could give them the vehicle to release the bond, which isn't money. It just gives them back bonding capacity to use on another project.
Mhm.
They're still stuck back in August until they get us their lien waivers. I mean, that's Cindy. She's adamant on this. Until we have all
Then
their.
why aren't the subs being paid?
Because they aren't getting us the forms. There's nobody working on this.
Yeah,
They're not getting us the certified.
It's certain subs are not getting the forms and Tower has been more basically unwilling to amend their requisition to reduce that, because it also reduces their general conditions.
And
over.
it strangely has not seemed to be a priority for them. I reach out constantly, if there been any movement. If, right now, take your requisition and adjust it to only the contractors who have submitted, so they can at least get paid. Nothing. And we just went through that with July. That was painful. June was the same process. June took about 2-3 months. July took 2-3 months. And now August is just hanging out there. And these people are just constantly to me, they go right to me, if the check has been cut, I should not be answering those questions. So I send them back to Tower. But, there's amazingly threatening, right? Emails of how can you sleep at night, Alpulos.
Oh, yeah, there's been some pretty,
That,
colorful,
and
emails.
that's what I mean. These people, if they realize there's no bond in place, they're not gonna be very happy. I mean, granted, they can't leave the project, but I don't want you to have to suffer through that. So, I mean, we gotta find out how to protect ourselves from that situation. Make sure that they persevere to get their money, persevere to get all their contractors paid. So there's nothing dangling out there at the end of the project.
There's also all of the CCDs that, John was hinting to. You convert the CCDs when they're done to change orders for one final change order. We've gotten, I reviewed 15 Monday and Tuesday, and a bunch of them were CCDs. The ones that weren't, I mean, there's still a few $100,000 in there. Some of it, again, most of it's accounted for in debts, but there is some stuff outside that.
Right.
So.
And they did send a few over that had already been rejected, right?
They were asking, why, what's the status? And I said, I rejected this in June. And, we're
Yeah.
revising, resubmit.
Yeah.
Just didn't have it tracked right. No. And I can provide you any of that information if you want to see the full trail of all of those change orders, including all the previous ones that you don't see. I can provide all that to the town. It's part of our contractual obligations here to provide all those documents.
Okay,
Sorry, Justin, I keep bringing bad news.
Mark, we'll huddle, bring Sean into the loop. I'll place a call to Al, tell him what our intention is, and, I just don't know when we're gonna be able to meet. It's gonna have to be a couple weeks out, probably.
Yeah, if it's possible, before Thanksgiving, would give us more, kind of, pressure on them to do it sooner rather than later, but Also, I am away for a week and a half after Thanksgiving, but I will find representation for that meeting. It'll be Ed for that meeting.
And I'll keep you guys updated. Anything comes through.
In the meantime, can we get that PCO log?
I can give you the log, yeah, tomorrow. I can give you, do you want the entire set of files, every single one, all the correspondence?
Not really.
I don't believe you, there's 115
Just want
of
the
them.
log.
I'll give you the log. Yep. I just ran one yesterday and I updated it again today.
Okay.
So,
We were effusive in our praise for the work that was done in both of those ribbon cuttings. There's been a lot of really good work done there. And then within days, I'm seeing it in emails, our words being used against us
Yes,
to talk about, what a terrific job has been done. So again, there's been a lot of really good work done. We just want this closed out and closed out correctly.
Exactly. Well, this is a very important part of the project. And it's information that we really can't duplicate. I mean, any chips must come from them. And the O and Ms must come from their subs and be put together.
And you're saying the chips, if that's not addressed, that puts us at risk for the reimbursement?
Yes.
there's a checkbox and then RIDE asks the architect to sign a form saying, that this chips has been met and this is accurate information. If we don't have that, we don't sign it, they can't check the box. I've never seen a project not get funded, but I don't want to be.
We don't need to submit the stuff. It's an affidavit that
Correct.
our design representatives sign at the end of the project.
Correct. Yeah, that's something they'll ask me RIDE will ask me to sign at some point. I mean, we're getting into the 3-month maintenance window for Mark to start changing filters and checking belts and everything like that. And we have no information for him to do that. So.
These are all standard closeout items. And it's just the insight I'm getting and, that there's just nobody to do it. There seems to be no progress done.
I can say Dennis and Josh, since they weren't working yesterday on projects because of Veterans Day, they were in the office. I got about 5 calls regarding chips. Let's hope that's a good sign, but we still haven't seen anything. So.
Like I said, we'll keep you abreast of where we're at, and we'll be thinking that at some point you're gonna ask for a summary to have this meeting back up, so.
Yeah, the next meeting is December 10th. I'll be coming in cold on that one, but I'll be here if there's topic about to discuss.
Okay, so what's the bad news?
You have $1.8 million in your coffers right now. No, I don't want to say.
That wasn't an invitation.
No, I know. I wish I could come back and say it's, there's good news. I mean, the kids are using the building,
We honestly have persevered to try to keep this from happening. It's not the worst thing. Kids got into school on time, and overall, they look great.
Yeah.
But there's just,
And
work that hasn't been done, there's work that's not done right, and there's all this closeout, and then there's the bond issue, so.
Yeah. And there's also, there's been a very aggressive combative situation, and we haven't even gone that route with this closeout. We just say, just finish.
What can we
Just
do?
get
What
us
can we
done.
help you with?
Yeah,
Here you go, here's what you need to do.
yeah.
And honestly, these are in the contract document
Right.
as
We got
required.
a path forward.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any other questions? Next item on the agenda is capital projects update.
I have to give you,
Okay.
Oh, good.
we have a looper at Springbrook.
What?
The last piece of the puzzle that was missing from that Springbrook install.
Well, that's the last physical piece. We're still missing all the closeout documents. Hit, rewind and repeat.
Right.
I was trying to give good news.
hopefully this means they're just gonna give us everything and we'll be able to close that.
But that's wonderful. Is it the correct color?
It is,
Wonderful.
yes. It will be.
Okay. It's wonderful.
Quickly on the next phase of capital projects, we are moving forward. We're going to put language together for the bids that state that funding will not become available until July 1st, if at all. So it's still in limbo, but we're gonna move forward with documents that could move the projects forward if they are approved. And then we'll go from there on timeline scheduling. If we've got competitive bids and timeline, we're trying to get flooring done, windows done, and a roof. So it might be a little bit tough to get, if I don't get the approval till late April, get those things in motion for the summer. So we're gonna go ahead with it like we will get approved. And then adjust it.
I was at a planning board meeting because I can't help myself. Listening in on another item, but they were discussing the capital, the CapEx, the capital review process. And I took the opportunity just to tell the planning board, what the recent stage 2 application approval, what the intent of, the projects being put forth on behalf of the school, the school district. The intention is for getting reimbursement. So these are all projects that have been vetted and has another layer of review at the building committee level, just to kind of prep. My suspicion is that there's a lot of new members on that particular board. They may be a little bit more immersive in their review of capital projects. So I wanted to take the opportunity just to let them know that other people have their eyes on it and recommendations for it, in case there are any questions.
If there were questions, what is the formal way to get the answers to them?
Right. So, I think did one of the,
Public hearing, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So to be continued on that, Mark.
Yeah.
Any other questions to Mark? So I presume as we kind of go through the winter months, you'll be staging some of these for review or advice, all that stuff. Okay. Okay, so upcoming meetings. Obviously, unless you guys want to, I'm assuming that we're not going to meet on the 26th, the day before Thanksgiving. That Wednesday evening, probably not. Okay. So we will have a meeting on December 10th and not on December 24th. However, if things come up, if there are emergencies and we need to convene, that I guess the same rules that have always been applicable. If we need to gather people for a quick approval on something, just keep alert for that. So we will plan on in January, through these winter months, if we're closed out, if we reach resolution on Springbrook and Duns and State Street is going smoothly, we may kind of we'll go on a month-by-month basis about whether or not we'll toggle that second meeting of the month. But for planning purposes, I would assume that starting January, we'll meet twice a month unless determined otherwise. Any questions on that? Any other next steps that you guys want to see? Okay. So we'll move on. We do not have any public comment unless you guys want to address us. So with that, anything else for the good of the order? All right. Does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.